Hello. I run a design studio called Kin. There's 8 of us. There's been a few more. There's been a few less. And we had a studio in Farringdon until last week. Not because it's gone under, just because we've moved to just around the corner. I actually never thought we'd end up around here, but we're just over on Old Street. And we sort of have normal desk-based activities, and we also make a lot of things. And we have a really diverse portfolio. I don't think we have a specific discipline, which might mean that we're probably not specialists at anything, but I like to think there's certain things we sort of peak at and maybe not. The best way we've been described from other people is Moving Brand said that we were unpigeonholable, and Derek Yates, who's just written a book on communication design, said that we were the sort of people who have the wrong pens, which I really like. We do everything from magazine covers to exhibition design to interactive objects to research reports. This is something we did for Microsoft. This is something for a fashion show. It's a dress out of 80 phones. This is a learning thing for National Maritime Museum where kids do object recognition on objects in galleries. This is a sculpture for a piece of seating for ITV. It's a piece of sort of citizen science for the Science Museum and Heston Blumenthal. And a series of pollution badges we're working on at the moment, as well as some maths books we're designing for the national curriculum. So out of that 8 of us, there's a really diverse set of things, which means that inevitably, over the years, we sort of work outside of our comfort zone. And that means that it's led to a lot of things which, because of that sort of comfort zone, we've inevitably started to find points where it's not necessarily nice. And there's a thing about failure where you try and learn from your mistakes, but there's a point where it's just not nice, and things go wrong, and there's not a lot of positives out of it. And I like to think we've got through all of the things that have gone wrong. I'm going to show you 3 quick things. Sorry, I've gone the wrong way. It's a failure. So there's a lot, in those things, I keep saying inevitably, which will probably be inevitable again. This is for D&AD. We did all the design for New Blood and Graduate Academy a few years ago, and when we installed these flags, we realized that they were going to kill someone about 10 minutes before it opened. So the event was sponsored by sort of coconut water, that cocoa water stuff. So all of that sponsored nice stuff that came to the event was used to weigh down the flags. But I'm not going to talk about that as a main thing. And this was for Nissan Innovation Station down at the O2, and you could walk around these corridors and do little video vox pops. And 30 days after it opened, the programmer had installed trial versions on every machine in the O2, so this came up. The client sort of said to us, I don't know what's happened. Oh, I don't know either. Someone's obviously been playing with the machines, but we can fix it. This is for Adidas, and 10 minutes, this is the launch of a football boot for, in line with the European Championships 2 years ago, I think. And they kick this football and it measures it, and there's a laser at the top that's measuring the speed of your kick. And the client asked us before it opened if it was secure, the laser, and we said yes, and we would kick footballs. And then a 15-year-old turned up and he smashed the laser 10 minutes before one of the CEOs would turn up, and they cost £2,000 to replace, so we had to pay for that. This is, I'm not going to talk about that. This is a sculpture for Ted Baker for Fifth Avenue in New York. It weighs 50 kilos. It's made of aluminium. It's actually incredibly light. It's got these perforations of tiny little mistletoes that let the air through. And it weighs 50 kilos, so 3 of us could probably lift it just. And we went through all the structural engineering plans. It was all fine. And then the authorities in New York told us that they had to take a load, because of the winds down Fifth Avenue, of 7 tons, which is 7 Volkswagen Golfs. So the building couldn't support it, so we built a metal frame, and then the steel frame for the building, and then the fire department told us that the pavement couldn't take the weight of our metal frame. It happened. It's just a bit smaller than this when it got installed. What I am going to talk about is 3 types of failure. One is when things are out of your control, which is the first one. Then sort of human behavior, when someone sort of lets you down, which is the sort of sadder end. It was all fine. And the third one is when we've really fucked something up. So this is a project we did for Nokia. I don't know if you remember them. They used to make... They were a big client of ours. They used to make mobile phones, and we did a photo shoot where we had the idea about taking photos through different layers of the Earth. So we took them down in magma caves. We took one underwater in a glacial lake. We went diving. all the way up to the mesosphere. And we launched one up through, there's a few projects like it, sort of weather balloon goes up. We went to Iceland. The idea was we might get photos of the northern lights, which was ridiculous. And here's a little film clip of what happened when we launched the phone, made by some friends of ours, Design Studio.
That's where we launched it.
Yeah.
And then it went up here, did a big jump there, and then it landed just off the coast in the sea. That's a long way.
Do we have anybody there?
All of the predictions were for it to go here. Like, there was never any.
No.
I know if we ever guessed it would travel that far.
I should say that phone, we had two of them. It wasn't launched, and it took 3 years to develop. It was the Nokia PureView, and it had a 41 megapixel camera. And then the client went home from the expedition, and we had one left, and we had to decide what do we do. So we sent the second one up as well, and we lost it. I had to phone Espoo, Nokia headquarters, and report the number of the ID of the phone that had been lost. And thankfully for another client, the senior one above him said that what a cool way to leak a phone. No one was going to find it in the sea. And the second one, we paid a fisherman a crate of beer to go and get it for us. He found it. He gave it to a haulage truck that drove it the 200 miles across Iceland, who broke down. He gave it to another haulage truck who was carrying fish, who brought it to us. We never gave him anything. They just decided to help us, and we got our photo. We got a photo of the curvature, you know, sort of curvature of the Earth and all that stuff. But thankfully it worked. But it was horrible, and we took that risk to just do it again. And we launched it second time from a farm, and we paid the farmer a bottle of brandy, that's how it works in Iceland, to do it. And then it's another project for Nokia. This is one on a sort of human level. When we first set up, we were asked to redo the startup sequence for Nokia devices. And anyway, it was a massive project, and when the hands sort of come together. And we interviewed lots of people. We had this idea of drawing, this is one of the initial sketches, of drawing lines around people all coming together and so on. And we interviewed lots of people, and it came down to two animators. And one said, I know exactly how to do it. I know how much it'll cost, I know how long it'll take. And then the second one said, I haven't got a clue. It looks really hard. I don't know how you'll achieve that. And we talked about what he did. I said he also worked, he'd drawn Jessica Rabbit. Completely romanced by that. Kev, my business partner, and I, it was just us, thought we've got to get the guy who says he doesn't know what he's doing, because that's really fresh. He's really honest, and that's really cool. And he worked on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was an older guy. It was like, this is really exciting. It turned out he didn't know what he was doing, and he didn't know how to do it. And one night I got really frustrated with him and asked him, how come you got to work on Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And he said he didn't. I said, you told us you drew Jessica Rabbit. And he said, yeah, I've done, oh, wrong way. Oh, God. I've done lots of drawings of Jessica Rabbit. We've paid him a lot of money. And he'd basically drawn Jessica Rabbit quite a lot. And we'd employed him for the biggest project we've ever done for the startup sequence of Nokia devices. Somehow we got away with it, and we just did some blue hands in the end. That's what we did. And then the last one, really quickly. This is a project for Tommy Hilfiger, and this is our first installation project. And we don't talk about this in the studio. It's called Tommygate. And I've talked about it once before at an event. We've done 700 projects. I've talked about this once before. And we were asked by Deconstruct, a company at the time who'd come out of Deep End, and 7 people set up, and they were doing lots of web-based work, and They had a commission from Tommy Hilfiger to make an audio installation for retail, and the idea was that you would have 4 different types of denim, and depending on the cut of denim, different music would play in the shop. And Kev and I had ideas about the fitting room would play, you know, if you went in with skinny jeans, it would play indie music, and baggy jeans, hip-hop, and so on. And it ended up being these cassettes, which we didn't like the idea so much, but we were committed to it. And we made 38 cassettes. They went to 60 stores around the world. Kev made these by hand. Here's a little video of how it works. So they were far apart as Amsterdam to Naples. We did it all. We thought we were really clever. It's a computer, just a little MP3 player which we made, which plugs in. There's no screen, no keyboard, nothing else attached. We came home. Monday morning, all the stores opened. And 3 minutes after the stores opened, they all went to screensaver and switched off. And they were simultaneously in 38 cities across Europe. We had no money, and Kev went to the airport, and he went on Ryanair and EasyJet, and he flew around different cities with a monitor and a keyboard, because people in the shop couldn't see what was wrong. And all we had to do was disable the screensaver. Kev had been creative director of digital communications at Imagination. He's probably done about 300 shows around the world, and I'd been design director at Moving Brands. We've done lots of this sort of stuff, and we'd fucked it up ourselves. And we had a production technologist, who won't be named, who came with us to help us with it. And we just forgotten the simplest thing, which was horrible. And then one of the guys in the studio, Duncan, who was actually, we're doing the hands at the same time. So close. So lucky to be here. Duncan phoned his friend in Belgium, Federico, who was like, woohoo, cool, I'll go and fix it for you. We told him about the bigger problem. He's like, yeah, road trip. He got his dad involved. He drove around every shop and fixed all the others, and I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. We've never paid him anything, and he saw it as like a quest to help us. I still don't know who he is. I don't know his surname. But we fixed it, and it was all okay. And there's that thing where you survive. There's moments where it's horrible, and I live in fear of failure like that because it wasn't very nice. And in the end, yeah, it was all fine, but yeah, it was. I'll never do it again. Actually, Kev will never do it again because it's his fault. It's over there. I also realised that this, if you inverted this, it would look a bit like an arsehole. The screensaver. That's it. Thanks.